And we're live, streaming from the footsteps of New York City. We are Music Matters with Jason Tramm, and thank you for joining us for a unique podcast community where we explore the triumphs and challenges of the performing arts world as seen through the eyes of distinguished colleagues. Thank you so much for helping us grow. Today we hit 1,616 subscribers and growing thanks to you. Please remember to subscribe to us on YouTube and smash that bell icon for the most up-to-date information on our upcoming guests and topics. Here on Music Matters, we have guests from the classical world, the indie singer-songwriter world, the rock world, the rap world, you name it, we're there. Where there's Music Matters. And we're so delighted. You can also find us on Twitter, Instagram. We're on Facebook Live. Follow us on all of our outlets, and please join us any way you can. We have a wonderful guest today. We have Mary Jennings, a singer-songwriter from Nashville, who's an accomplished recording artist and is doing some incredible music making. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
So you are from ground zero of singer-songwriter land in Nashville. What's the state of things in Nashville today?
I mean, it's gotten cold. It's finally feeling like fall, which is
same in New York, New Jersey. It's all of a sudden it got into the 50s. We're like, hey, it's been summertime.
Yep, I love it. All of our windows are open now, and it's all the ACs are off, and it feels amazing. I'm living for it right now.
What's the music scene like these days? A lot of live performances happening?
I mean, my answer is I'm not sure what the music scene's doing right now because I have stayed at home for the most part. Nashville's been interesting because I don't know that Nashville ever really fully stopped. Like they just kind of plowed on through. So I think that if musicians wanted an opportunity to perform, they could always come down here and have one. I, however, have just maintained, for the most part, staying at home and doing shows online. I took a period of time where I did some live shows when the numbers were low and vaccinations were coming out and everything was feeling good again, but took a bit of a break for a little bit until things feel a little bit better.
Everyone's got to assess their own level of risk, right? It's a challenging world these days, and everyone's different. We all have different considerations. And I think that's
right.
You mentioned in the we were just yapping in the pre-show that everyone's got to have some grace, and I think that is such an important thing to remember.
That's
I know
right.
for me as a classical artist, I do a lot of production and making sure a choir feels safe. Do you distance? Do you wear masks? There's so many questions we've had to answer, and it's been an evolving process. Even can we have a choir? Can we not have a choir? Can the orchestra? So many questions, but we're getting through it and doing the best we can.
That's right. And like for me, I have to think about Eliza, who's my 5-year-old, who probably would be fine, but we don't know for sure if she would be fine. She can't be vaccinated yet, and that's just kind of where we sit with it. But also, there are a lot of my friends who they don't eat if they don't get to play shows. Like that's how they pay their bills. So
that's for sure.
That's that's where I say you have to have grace and just hope that people do the best that they can to be smart and safe and responsible. So
now, did you always know you wanted to be an artist?
I mean, I have always loved music. I think that if you go back and, my mom and dad saved the little sheets that you fill out when you're a kid of what do you want to be when you grow up. I'm sure in there I once said I wanted to be a vet or I wanted to be an actress or, I've had different things, but I've always done music. I've always loved to sing and play. And so I don't know that I always thought that music would be my all-time career. I mean, I went to college for something different. I got my master's in something different, but music's been the one thing that always stuck, if that makes sense. It got me through everything else. So I don't know.
I'm always amazed by whenever you do something else other than music, it always comes back and manifests itself in the music.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Except I used to sell luggage. That has yet to make it in my music.
Whenever you travel, I imagine you really know your luggage as you're preparing to travel.
That's true. I can pick out a good bag. So.
Well, it's amazing how. Now, do you come from a musical family?
I do. Especially on my dad's side. So, my dad. Hi, Dad. I think you're watching. My dad.
I think your dad just commented on the post in the comments, so welcome, Mr. Jennings. Happy to have you here.
So, my dad can play, he's like a multi-instrumentalist. He can play guitar, and he played bass in a band called The Dimensions when he was in high school. And, he could play piano, and can sing. I grew up singing with him. He played bass with me for many years when I lived in Nashville, the first go around before I moved to New York. And, my grandparents, his parents, my grandfather sang like nobody's business, and my grandmom played piano beautifully. And again, I attribute a lot of my ability to harmonize because of singing on car trips with them, and learning through them. My great grandfather was, a major singer, and he sang in weddings, sang at church,
Wonderful.
that whole thing. So definitely musical family for sure.
Music is definitely passed down the genetic code, isn't it? I mean, that love of music, you just even if people didn't do it for a vocation, it's still there, and it's still. I'm always amazed by how many professional musicians have such a depth of musical talent in their family. Even people who were like extraordinary, quote unquote, amateurs, there's still so much, and that's impressive that you have such a background.
Yeah, well, I think when it's in your family, you're around it, so then you do it. That's just kind of part of your background.
What are some of the first pieces you sang, and what's always your favorite genre?
Oh, geez. The first songs I remember really singing, like especially to develop my knowledge of like harmony and stuff like that. I remember singing "When You Wore a Tulip" with my grandfather, and we would do that in harmony a lot. And then I also remember learning the song "Smile" with my grandma. She's the one who introduced me to that song. And that I actually put on my album, this most recent album. I put my own version of that song because I love it.
That must have been so special to take something that you have so much life experience with and then bring it back, as an adult.
It's really cool. And it's one of my favorite songs of all time. So, and like we would sing like I've been working on the railroad and all those kinds of things, like in the car. So that's kind of what I grew up singing. In terms of my favorite genres, I mean, it changed. It changed all the time. Every time I heard something new, that was my jam. I mean, I grew up listening to 80s music to start. I mean, that was some of my favorite stuff. Then I started getting into, I got into Celtic music in a big way. I really liked disco for a minute. I mean, I got into like disco fever big time. It's just so random. Then, of course, like typical, angsty kid, got into like 90s and grunge, and, then I heard Tori Amos, and all bets were off. I remember where I was when I heard Tori Amos. I can pinpoint it. I know exactly.
That voice just stops me in my tracks. When I need to kind of just mellow out, I'll put that on, and such great music.
Yep. So, I mean, it's just changed over the years and developed, I would say.
When did you start writing songs?
The answer I would give would be I started writing songs in like high school, and when I was really kind of coming in touch with my emotions. If my dad were sitting next to me, he'd be like, "Yeah, right, Mary. You started writing songs when you were like 8, and you used to put on shows first. You like hit the, record or the play button on your keyboard with like a beat, and you would make up, songs." So it all depends on who you ask. Songs
that
I
experimental
took
process is important. That experimental process as a kid is everything.
That's right. But I would say that when I really started writing songs and taking it seriously was in high school, because my first opportunity to ever play my music in front of an audience was Grandparents' Day at my high school when I was a junior, so 11th grade, I think. And that was so scary, but I got to play two of my own original songs that day, and I think that's when I would say that makes you a songwriter.
How did that feel, sharing something that's very personal? Writing a song is very personal. What was it like to share that with the audience?
Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. And exciting. I wanted to do it again. I felt like I knew immediately what needed to change and what I did wrong, and how I needed to develop my songs. I started to understand immediately audience reaction and what captivates people and what doesn't. And I was drawn by that. So,
That never changes. I'm a conductor. I
mm,
feel the same. I can feel the energy of the crowd on the back of my head. I
uh-huh.
can kind of, I don't see them when I'm working, but I can always feel the energy. And my job is to bring that energy. And there's nothing like moving a crowd. Nothing
No,
like it.
it's great. It's great.
So, what is the first? What is it like? What comes to you first when you write? And has it changed in your career? Is it the lyrics, the melody, the word? How do you? How does your songwriting process work?
I've been asked that before, and it depends on the song. There are songs that I could be having a conversation, like we could be just having conversation, and you could say something, and I'd go, "That is a song." Journal, boop boop ba doo doo, and then that's like my idea, and I go, "Okay, I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna use that later," and then that kind of develops a song. So that the idea starts first, or the hook line starts first. There are some times that I just have a melody in my head and I'll be playing the piano and then that turns into oohs and ahs. Like I start singing vowel sounds, which then lead to words and emotions. And then I go, that's what this song's about. And then, a whole song. I have woken up from dreams with
Mm.
songs in my head and go, oh gosh, I got to go record this real fast and then go back to sleep. So,
You and Beethoven. Beethoven always had a notebook next to his bed, and he would jot down the melodies as he woke up, and he would always have that there. Can you imagine if he had like the voice notes?
oh my gosh, that's just crazy. I mean, and that's what I do all the time is that I'll wake up and now that Dave's sleeping beside me, I try to like whisper hum it so that I don't wake him up. And the next morning, it sounds terrible because it's like, wait, how did that go again? Because maybe I'm too lazy to get up out of bed and go do it in another room, but it's like and hopefully I can get it, but you just never know.
But you never know when that strike of inspiration is going to happen. When the muse moves you, and you come up with something really special. It's
That's
very
right.
easy to. I do a lot of improvising, and you forget if you don't write it down, you're going to forget it,
100%. 100%.
and you never know what could be the kernel of something really special.
That's right.
So, what's it like to see that the songs that you write are listened to by so many people? And I know you're very active on the streaming platforms like Spotify and YouTube. What's it like to see that your music has an impact across multiple countries and continents?
Crazy and awesome and moving. I've used my music in large part just to selfishly provide catharsis for myself and, just get through a bunch of stuff. And if somebody else can appreciate it and get through things from it as well, then wonderful. So there have been those moments where I've had people come up and tell me that that song, changed their day or their week or their year. And I mean, that means the world to me because I know that there are songs that have done that for me. So it's huge. When I look to see that there are songs that are being listened to in other countries, I'm always like, how did you get it? I mean, awesome, but how did you get cool? I love it.
I'm always
Um,
surprised when someone from Turkey or someone from Moldova, all of it. We get these wacky. We had a string of people from Kenya. I'm always amazed. Like, so they're watching the show, really? That's
yeah,
interesting.
it's wild. I had you can get like a thing through Apple Music that you can see where you've been Shazammed, I get Shazammed in like Spain. I'll get Shazammed in like Germany. And where is my music playing where you could Shazam it? I'm down, but that's awesome. I'll
That's
take
the
it.
power of the internet, right? We
Yeah,
can put something out there and record it in our house, and it can be all over the world in an
that's
hour,
right. That's right. I'll
for
take
better
it.
or for worse, right? They
That's
can.
right. That's right.
Someone
So
can make a
true.
dopey comment, and it can mess things up for years. But
Mm-hmm.
we always have to be on our best behavior as artists, don't we?
Yep, for sure.
I was watching Dave Chappelle's new comedy special, and he was talking about that a lot, and how careful comedians have to be these days. Or like he does, he just goes all the way the opposite direction and
Yeah,
just says
just
and
go
doesn't
for
care.
it. Just go for it. When he's built up his, credibility to where he can do that. So,
Yeah, it must be nice.
yes, exactly. Exactly.
So tell us about your first experiences in the recording studio. You were mentioning in the pre-show you've done something like 6 full-length recordings over the years. Congratulations, that's wonderful. And
Thanks.
one thing I know from many artists I've worked with at the recording studio, you get more comfortable with that over time. So
Oh
what's
yeah.
something you've learned from your first time till now?
I my first ever time recording anything. It sounds terrible. I don't remember what the guy's name was, but it was a brief thing that I did. It was like a 5-song thing in an evening. No, it's never seen the light of day. That I did in 10th grade, and it was like in this guy's house, and it was fun. And I just got to play keys and sing, and I felt pretty comfortable with it. Like, it's kind of how a lot of studios are set up now, where the vocal booth was in a closet, and it's just like, wow, this is great. This is easy. But the first like full album that I got to work on was my Jennings album, which was the first one that ever came out, and that was right after my mom had passed away. So there was a lot of emotional stuff going on when I even recorded that. But I worked with Mark Allen, and he could not have been a better human being to not only record that album, but just to be a friend to me, and like a big brother. He just, I don't know. We laughed, we cried, we had all the emotional feels, and just, I don't know. It was really cool. And so any discomfort that I would have felt being in like a big fancy recording studio went out the window. That wasn't even a part of it, because there was more to it than that. And I've never really done the big, huge, fancy recording studios. I mean, um the biggest studio I've been in was with Dan McLaughlin, which is a great studio, and it's basically like 2 rooms, and that was where I did Collapse Collide, and he had his big instrument recording room and his control room, and even that, like, it still felt really comfortable. So I think anytime with anybody new that you work with, you still are warming up to them. But I've been really lucky with who I've worked with. There's never been anybody that I've done any of my projects with where I was like, oh no, I'm really, really uncomfortable, or this is going to take some time to
Glad to hear that,
get
because
my feet under me.
you want where the people you work with is so important, especially like a producer. That combination, you bring the material in. I'm always amazed by how the material can shift in the studio, and how there can be like additions and new ideas added to that, and it adds new dimensions to those recordings, I'd imagine.
Sure. Well, and I think that there's positivity in being an indie artist. I didn't have to go through anybody. I got to go, this is who I want to work with. This is how I want to do it. And I don't have to answer to anyone else and work with anyone I don't want to.
You can
So
grow at your own pace. The
That's right.
challenge is, of course, is you're your own team, or your people around you are your own team,
Yeah.
and you've got to do a lot more of the everything, right?
Yeah, but I've been okay with that. And not everybody is, and I understand that. But I've surrounded myself with awesome people, and the team that I've had around me at different times has always been great. I mean, I've really felt lucky in that way. So I have no complaints on that front.
And what was your first album? What was it like putting together multiple songs for the first time, putting it out there to the world? Describe that process for us.
Well, I mean, that was the one that was right after my mom passed away. So in a way, it was exactly what it needed to be. It was 13 songs, the majority of which were about like losing my mom, or about what I was going through at the time. It was my mourning. This is a lot, but also some of the songs I had written in high school. And so it was kind of like coming from that into my senior year of high school into my freshman year of college, and all these things that I'd been through. It was a whole lot of angst, and I just wanted to get it all out. And
It's so important to find that first of that personal catharsis. But then what's amazing is how everyone we all relate. We all have our own losses and our own challenges, and that can make someone feel so good about themselves. What's it like when you hear someone reach out to you and tell you that they're moved by your music?
oh, it's the best. I mean, I don't ever want anybody to have heartache where they can relate to my songs in in some ways. Like, I think one of the songs that's really gotten people over the years is Move, which was on Collapse Collide. And it's very much about the loss of my mom, but like in graphic detail. And, from that song to even like Matriarch on this most recent album, which again talks a little bit about loss, those are the ones that I hear from people. And it's because people have lost somebody. It's because, maybe people have lost their moms or things like that. And I don't want people to hurt, but if I can help put words to their feelings or words to what they're going through, man, I've won. I've done it. Like that, I can't do any better than that. That's great. Well, I don't know how to put for a person that's super verbose otherwise and can write songs. I don't have words for that feeling because that I don't know. It feels really good. It makes me want to hug those people and say, I'm sorry that you're in this club with me, but I'm glad I could help.
Well, that's why music has always been such a powerful tool. It's always been such a powerful unifier of people. And when you can hear a song, you don't even have to know the person. You can just kind of feel the emotion, and it captures us all.
That's right.
Has lyric writing always been a strength, or is it something you've developed? Was the music first, or the lyrics? What was your first strength?
They're always developing, and I don't know. I think it depends. At different times, even of the week, I will feel stronger at lyrics and than I do at music. And then the week later, it will be the opposite. I mean, sometimes it's just the music is there and I've got all these musical ideas and no words, nothing. And then other times I've got all of the lyrical ideas and then nothing musically, which is why co-writing for me is one of my favorite things. And so I do a lot of that. And when I have this idea that I'm like, oh man, I really want to write this song, but I just don't know, I don't know how to finish it, or I don't know what to say here. And I've got a bunch of awesome and brilliant musician friends that'll help.
It does take a whole team, right? And
Yep.
I'm always amazed by the co-writing. Now, Nashville is like the songwriting capital of the United States. Mm-hmm. So I've heard from so many of my Nashville people who've been on the show so far, they say that there's all sorts of like events where you can go and sit down and meet people, meet new songwriters. And I was calling it, what was it? Like it's like a song co-writing speed dating.
It is. It is. And I mean, some of those dates are awesome, and some of them are the worst. And you just plow through the ones that are terrible, and you go, okay, this has been real. We won't do this again. Cool. And you take your doggy bag song and you go, bye. See you never. And then sometimes you meet those co-writers where you just really fit, and you're like, oh man, can we do this again? Multiple times? This is going to be great. Sometimes you might be co-writing with several people. Like I've had co-writes with 3 and 4 people, and
wow,
everybody adds little things here and there. It's you have to be really balanced when you have too many people, but still fun.
So I would love to have you play on the show. Would you like to share a song with us?
Sure. How about we were talking about me dreaming of songs. Let's do Dreaming of Giants.
Now, that's a recent one. It just came out recently.
It did.
Fantastic.
I have really bad dreams because, like most people throughout 2020, I had a whole lot of anxiety. And so my anxieties came out in my dreams, and my anxieties presented themselves as giants, as it would turn out. So I wrote a song about it.
Can't wait to hear it.
That's how I dealt. All right, here we go.
Morning sun, it's like I won this time. Though I'm not fine, I can make it for now. It's hard to shake them. My creatures carry weight. They take up space and follow around. I'm stumped by boundaries. I'm hitting walls. I'm slowly sinking, shrinking, smaller than small. And I keep on dreaming of giants. I tuck and roll. I tuck and fold myself into holes. And no matter where I hide, they never bar me behind. The death of me will be underneath these collapsing feet. Bottom, bottom, me. Bottom, bottom, me. Bottom, bottom, me. Bottoming out. Read words of wisdom. It's as I medicate, but they won't placate every voice in my head. I need an off switch. I need a hard time out. The city's so loud every night in this bed. I'm stumped by boundaries. I'm hitting walls. I'm slowly sinking, shrinking, smaller than small. And I keep on dreaming of giants. I tuck and roll. I tuck and fold myself into holes. And no matter where I hide, they never bar behind. The death of me will be underneath these collapsing feet. Bottom, bottom, me. Bottom, bottom, me. Bottom, bottoming, bottoming out again. Bottom, bottoming, bottom, bottoming, bottom, bottoming, bottoming out again. Bottom, bottoming, bottom, bottoming, bottom, bottoming, bottoming out, and I keep on dreaming of giants. I tuck and roll, tuck and fold. I keep on dreaming of giants. Tuck and roll, tuck and fold. I keep on dreaming of giants. I keep on dreaming of giants.
Great song. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love the looping effects in there. It's got a little pop sensibilities. It's certainly got some really deep, deep vocals and some deep words. Great song, boy.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much.
And I did watch the video to this one. You've got a great video attached to the song as well. And go on YouTube, you can see it. And how long did it take to put the video of the song together?
It wasn't all that long. The animation, the guy that did the animation did it relatively quickly, and then I shot some of the live me footage at home and then sent it to Whitney, and then Whitney had me over to her house to shoot some of the other live stuff, and then she edited it like a champ, and la-ti-da, it was done.
It does take a whole team to do these things. You can imagine what used to take a studio, army of people, not going to be done by a few real talented folks and some vision, and you come up with your ideas. I love the way that the visuals really become so important in the music. So, you have to really. I love the animations you came up with too. Very interesting.
Thanks. Well, we wanted it dark and creepy and eerie and like my nightmares. And I also kind of, I loved this guy's animation. He goes by Jack Fried is his name, and it's Fried Animation, and I love it because it's it reminded me of like the 90s kind of style of animation, and it just was creepy and eerie, and I loved it. So
you had a lot of love on the chat feature here. We got a couple. Some of them are really fun. Your dad seems to be very active, which is awesome. My mom is listening as well.
Yay!
I love, my mom's been watching me conduct and make music since I was a little kid, of course, and now it's kind of fun to watch them.
Well, hello to everybody. Hello, parents. Hello, everybody that's having fun.
Yeah, it's always fun, and I love these conversations because we get to learn from each other, and a lot of what we do is talk about artistic innovation during challenging times on Music Matters. So you mentioned your anxiety. We all felt that crazy anxiety last year, especially, and it still hasn't gone away. So obviously, we know that you deal with it in your music and you get it out there. And what's something you learned about yourself during the COVID period?
I'm capable of taking on a lot more than I thought. I think is the best way to put it. I for so many years had, and I think this is just the nature of people, right? I put so much weight onto things that in retrospect were like not a big deal. And then all of a sudden a pandemic hits and I can't hug my dad and my stepmom who live right down the street. Like not just hug them, but we're not even like seeing them other than, 20 feet away. And all of a sudden my kid is being pulled out of her daycare and I'm homeschooling her all of a sudden. And my husband is working from home and then ended up getting furloughed because of, everything that had seemed so big became so small in the comparison to what we all dealt with in that year. And that's just like for me personally, right? I mean, people are dying.
We're worried
everywhere.
About rehearsals being canceled, concerts being canceled. Yeah, people are dying. Like
people are dying.
Emergency rooms were being flooded, and it was just a crazy time period.
It was nuts.
When we think about the historical significance of this, I just like to put it in perspective because I live right outside of New York. So Broadway and the Metropolitan Opera, for example, had never closed for more than a few days. Maybe a blizzard. 9/11. I mean, that closed for like a couple days, less than a week, I believe. I'm correct in this, but they closed for over a year and a half. I mean, that's unheard of in the field. It never happened in the history of either of those institutions. So, and we're talking about something that we've never seen before.
Yeah, and it just what I think about too is I think about I put out my album, but then I think about some of the other people that I know that put out albums during that year that will forever be like my COVID albums. Like that signified that time for me. And that'll be really special. I did one of the kind of album release shows that I did was in New York. And it was a co-bill with one of my good friends, Ali, who we had never met each other. We had been on an online open mic together for basically a year. And his album, The Last American, came out in 2020. And that for me will be like forever one of my albums. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's just interesting just to thinking about all the like historical significance that it'll have in many facets. And it's
so hard to see that when you're in the moment. You were dealing with all the incredible challenge, like your husband getting furloughed, all my rehearsals being canceled, all the things that go on. It's hard to see the larger like societal trends, but we see them up close. But it's hard. You need more time to really kind of ascertain what it actually means, I think.
Well, and I think to myself, I wonder what kind of papers Eliza's going to have to write when she's in high school. Like, what are those going to look like? Because, people were writing papers about 9/11 and we lived through that, know, and that just things like, so this is going to be one of those things that there are all kinds of papers and there's already like movies out about 2020 and I don't know. It's crazy to think about.
I'll skip those movies for now. Having lived through it so carefully.
Yeah.
I tell my undergraduate students that I teach music and civilization. It's like a Western survey course. That music is like an amber that captures whatever it's going on around it. Kind of congeals into that amber. So when you
Great way
study
to
Beethoven or
look at it.
Mozart, you have to know kind of what's going. It teaches you what's going on in the society and history and the military. I mean, there's so many other things that go into the music, and it's the same thing with your music. It kind of captures what's going on in your life, crystallizes that, and kind of saves it for us.
Well, and it's not just what's going on in my life; it's what's going on in a lot of people's lives. Because it's going on in my life, it's going on in a lot of people's lives. If that makes sense. So
It filters to each of us individually.
Yep.
Such interesting ways.
I love that analogy, though, the amber.
Well, thank you. So tell me about what you're working on right now. What are the projects you're digging into right these days?
I have been a part of so many interesting projects over the past few months. We talked about co-writing. I'm working with my friends Dan and Rachel, and Dan has this project called Atomic Boxer. So I've been writing songs with them, and it's super, kind of like a mixture of rock and electronica and stuff like that. Super cool. Same with the same Rachel Epp, doing a Christmas project with her for a musical advent calendar that's coming out that our friend Natasha started. It's super cool. I'm working with my friends Eric, Dan, and Andy, and Zach on a very I would call it metal, screamo, alt rock kind of thing. And it's like I would be like the Evanescence, like Amy Lee vibe. Okay, so I did that, and then I'm working on my own music as well. All in this at the same time. So, I've written several songs and that are in different phases of being finished, but I'm hoping that I will put out new music, my own new music, by January of 2022. So
it's exciting. Will that be an EP or a short release? What are you looking at these days?
I'm going to start with singles. I did with Matriarch, I released a few singles and then did the full album. And I really love doing the singles because it allows you to give each song special attention. And throughout the rest of the year, I'll be releasing videos for Matriarch. I mean, Matriarch is still super important to me, and it'll just keep on hanging on. So I'll be putting out videos for those before new music comes out.
Yeah, interesting. I think the era of like putting out albums as we think of them is very different these days because I mean almost everything is in short releases like singles, and that's the way we consume them.
Yeah. Well, I'm an old lady and I like albums. So
I had an artist yesterday who's putting out a vinyl album. Like that's so interesting to me how vinyl is making a comeback.
Yep.
I understand it though. He was saying like we all know that streaming has been a challenge for the artists. Properly monetizing that for artists, it's been a problem for everyone. But he was saying because when you sell vinyl, we sign the albums and personally give them to the people who support our music. It's a very special thing. I'm like, I didn't think about that.
It's true. And these days you got to be creative with your merch because nobody needs CDs anymore. So like I didn't make vinyl, but I made journal and pencil sets that all have like a QR code on the back because I have pencils in my hair in the picture. So I thought I'm going to sell color. I'm a mom. This whole thing is about being a mom. So now you have a journal and colored pencils. It's great. And the QR code on the back takes you to a downloadable album.
Oh, that's fantastic.
With like extra features and stuff. Like that's all I could think. Like that's fitting. We're gonna go with that for the merch.
The headshot I used for this show, you were saying in the pre-show. Tell us about the artwork in your painted headshot.
That is like isolation creation to a T. That is finding the backdrop is old piece of cardboard, huge piece of cardboard that came in a TV box that I won't throw it away because I'm like, I might need this piece of cardboard one day. And I did. And giving Eliza a ton of paint and saying, go. Outside, she was 4 at the time. And I was like, baby, this is going to be the backdrop for Mommy's new music. So I have video of her painting and singing This Ride from like going, she got all the words wrong. It's great. But, but she's painting. So great. She did the whole thing. And, I helped a little bit. She'd be like, okay, mommy, you put this color over there and this color over there. So we did this creation together. And for years I've let her paint me, because she'll be painting on a piece of paper, and then she'll just stop and she'll look at me and she goes, since she was 2, can I paint your face?
Aw.
And I remember the first time I was like, no. And then I thought, well, why not? Actually, sure. This water-based paint, fine, go ahead. And she's just loved it. So
She will never forget that as long as she lives, I'm sure. Yeah. And now that it's online, it'll always be there. It's like you'll never. Once again, that Amber comes back. That mother-daughter project. That makes it even more special.
Yeah, and the colored pencils in my hair were actually my mom's.
Oh.
They were hers, and I've carried them around in the same container for 20 years. So it's like that was like my matriarchal crown. It was her colored pencils.
Well, I love that music is something we learn from people from the previous generations, and we continue to pass on, and you're passing on through your daughter. I just think that's a beautiful, beautiful message.
Well, thanks. It was just fun.
Would you like to play something from that album?
Sure. Why don't we play Matriarch?
Perfect.
How about that? Slow it down a little bit.
What year was this released?
So this is still from Matriarch from this year. So with all of the colorful paints. So here we go.
The battle is done. Victory is ours. I stand with you in pride, thanking every greater power. A shared allegiance, a legacy is past. Look into the eyes of the future, I see my past. Mine to yours, hers to mine. We all share the same bloodline. We'll never be royalty. Still, you brought out the matriarch in me. A torch handed down, a crown that's hard to fill. Can I be the strength that she was? Mine to yours, hers to mine. We all share
Bravo. That was gorgeous.
Thank you. A little different than the last one.
You know, it's you have such power and depth to your music. You have that. You have a mezzo chord of the voice, but you use it with such emotion, and that to me is the art of the singer-songwriter is conveying motion and is just like encapsulating in just being able to every note be connected and so powerful. Is that something that came easy to you, or is that something you've developed over the years?
Well, first of all, thank you. I appreciate that. And I don't know, I just sing. I just sing the way I feel. And again, if people like it and it works, great. There are plenty of people that don't like my voice, and that's 100% okay. I just sing from my gut. I just, because if I don't, then it's not going to sound genuine at all. So
You have to feel it yourself. If you don't feel it, no one will. That's for sure.
exactly. Yep.
We have to acknowledge Erica Owen sending us a super chat. Your voice and your music are amazing, Mary, and thank you for sharing that with us today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
You've been getting
much.
a lot of love, and people.
Oh.
Someone also commented on your wolf mug that they love your wolf mug.
Oh, okay. I have a wolf obsession. Like it's a thing. I have wolf. Like I have lots of wolf things in my house. Like hundreds. I love them a lot. They're pack animals. They're family animals. We don't have to get into that right now, but I love wolves.
I love wolves too. My children make fun of me because when I'm not doing music, which is 90% of the time, if I'm working on a project or I'm getting ready to conduct a rehearsal or performance, but I'm always watching nature documentaries to let my mind relax.
Yes.
So I'll watch wolves, I'll watch sharks, I'll watch you name it. I'm
Love
watching
it. Love it so much.
It's such a great to watch these incredible animals. Yeah, wolves are amazing, intelligent.
They are so brilliant. And it's so hard for me because, obviously Eliza, my daughter, knows how much I love wolves. And wolves are always the bad guy in all the stories. And I'm like, baby, wolves aren't that bad, okay? So just this is a farce. You can't lean into that. Wolves are cool. She's like, but Mama, they eat everything. So whatever. She'll learn.
That's their job to keep they actually keep the other animals healthy, their genetics healthy by trimming off the the old ones and the weak ones, and actually keeps everything stronger. The
This
parks.
is all part of the ecosystem.
Did you see that study in Yellowstone where things started to come back in ways they had no idea when they introduced the top predator back there again? It actually changed the ecosystem significantly.
I'm not surprised by that.
Because the herbivores were trampling so much of the foliage, a few less of those actually changed it around, and it actually significantly changed everything around it.
Love that.
Nature is usually correct when it's balanced right.
Yep. Leave it alone.
So, Mary Jennings, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh my gosh. thanks
How
for
can people
having me.
find out more about you and your incredible work?
Well, how about we just find out more about each other? Because I like that so much better. I mean, if you want to find out more about me, that's fine. But if you want to follow me on the socials, I will follow you back and we can be friends. On Instagram as Mary Jennings Music, and Facebook and Twitter and all those, pretty much the best thing to do is just go to maryjennings.com, and whatever your social media pleasure, you can pick from there. And all my information is there. I'm all over the internet.
And on Spotify, you get lots of listeners.
And on Spotify, yes.
You get 1,000+ listeners a month, which is wonderful, and you're growing steadily. So follow this great artist. And are you doing any live streamed concerts coming up soon?
I don't have any booked right now. I know I need to. I'm about to, be in New York for a wedding, and it's Halloween time, which I'd usually just party with Eliza during Halloween time because it's my favorite season. But I think I'm going to do a few before the year is out because I want to and I need to. So the best thing to do, follow me on the socials or join my newsletter. I do a newsletter a month. That's it. Just one. And
keep up with all your recordings, your releases, your videos that come out. It's really important because once you find an artist you like, people want to get to know them a little bit, get the backstory, and watch the videos as they come out. There's so much great work to come. So I want to thank you so much for joining us on Music Matters, and I can't wait to see what comes next for you.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on. It's really meant a lot. I appreciate it.
Wish you and your family nothing but the best.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you for joining us on Music Matters with Jason Tramm. Please remember to subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on our social media platforms. You can smash that bell icon on YouTube for the most up-to-date information on our upcoming guests and topics. To see our over 215 past episodes, go on our website at www.jasontram.net. And you can also join our mailing list. We send a monthly newsletter with all our guests coming up, and we do not spam. So thank you very much. And remember, keep music alive.